Ryan Peake, welcome back to the Teed Up Golf Podcast, mate. Three-timer now. Big week for you. How are you, mate? Good to catch up.
Yeah, good, mate. Just ticking along. Cheers for having us, and yeah, have a bit of a chat.
Mate, let's fire up. Has been a huge year for you, obviously winning the Australian Order of Merit and the New Zealand Open. You've had a bit of a gap now between your major start, which is now the Open at Portrush this week when this comes out. How's the last few months been, mate? It's been a bit quiet with your Asian Tour status. Obviously, you've played a couple of weeks in a row now, but what have you been up to?
No, not much. Just yeah, just sort of ticking along. Played a couple of events over in Korea and South Korea and Morocco. Pretty much just filling in the time on the leading up to this, but no, I'm ready to go and over here in Portrush now actually. So sort of just waiting for the days to tick down.
Mate, we'll rip into the Open chat in a sec, but let's chat about sort of the Asian Tour stuff. So you've won the Aussie Order of Merit, but through winning the New Zealand Open, you've got yourself a ticket on the Asian Tour. Let's think back to 12 months ago. You'd just gone through Aussie Q School, got your card after years of trying to go through that way to get your card and had an unbelievable season. Can you imagine being where you are now, sitting a week out from playing your first major to where you were this time last year, probably playing a Pro-Am series up north somewhere?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Not really, to be honest. I obviously um, I struggled in the Aussie Open and the Aussie PGA, missing both cuts, and generally on the Australian tour. And to finish well on the Order of Merit, they're the kind of key events that you're looking at to play well to gain some valuable points. So, after I got back to Australia and had some lessons with Richie, we kind of just set out a few goals on how we're going to finish the year, and basically the year involved trying to push honestly to maybe top 15 or top 10 on the Order of Merit, and basically just try and secure like your Dunhill links and try and secure like second stage in your European Tour school and things like that, just to give yourself that bit of a greater opportunity, as it's hard to go through starting from first stage and gain your tour card. And then literally within weeks after that lesson, bang, you win New Zealand Open, and then there's no more tour schools. It's just basically straight to Europe and straight to Asia as well. So it's pretty surreal. But yeah, it's been pretty cool so far.
Yeah, mate, it must be sinking in sort of what your life looks like now compared to 12 months ago. Like, I remember catching up with you at the start of last Aussie season, and you were at the Aussie Open actually, getting you a good Bushnell's rangefinder. Like, the sponsors were hard to come by for you, less than 12
Absolutely.
months ago. How's that been? Like, obviously, since we did our podcast and you won the New Zealand Open, Media Street's been on your doorstep. How have you handled it? Like, obviously, you got an amazing team with Richie, who has world class players in his stable, so he's used to it. But how have you handled it personally? All the notoriety you've got now.
Yeah, I think at the start it was obviously very different. It was kind of confronting. I thought I was probably handling it pretty well at the start, but I kind of look back on it now, and I kind of wasn't, because I just kind of, everyone that reached out to me, I was just like, yep, no worries, like trying to, work in a time that suited for them and not suited for me, and I was just kind of trying to do everyone. And you know what, I didn't realize how much time that stuff actually takes, and how draining it actually is as well. Because as soon as there was, for a time there, as soon as I was off one podcast or one interview, then I was already getting an email to do another one, etc. And I was trying to knock them all on the head, but mate, I was just so tired. I've become pretty flat. And then obviously now I've got the management company, Matty Cutler, who organises all that stuff a lot better for me, and actually puts it to a place that actually works for me. So much better with it now, and got much more schedulized things and things like that.
Yeah, it's not just rocking up, playing an event, and moving on. Now you've got to do everything that comes with being a high end pro golfer. Um, let's chat about now, mate. You're in Portrush, so you've got over there. You stayed at the GA houses for a couple of nights, but you've had a look at the course. What's your first impressions, and what's it like getting over there?
Yeah, it's actually a cool little town. I didn't have the expectations of it as such from what I've seen about it, but it's a cool little town right on the coastline. I actually haven't seen the the course yet as far as being out there. I went out there yesterday and used the practice facilities and things like that. And fuck, she looks pretty tight. But it's just so much going on out there. And I'm actually after this. After speaking with you, I'm going out to play today, so I'll have a little bit more of an understanding of it. But just obviously the vibes of being out there, it's pretty cool and something that I'm not very familiar with. But sure, come Thursday, I've got plenty of days to soak it all in, and I'll be fine.
No, it's going to be amazing. Looking at it, I was saying just before we started recording, Billy Hewitt, who does a lot of work with Herbie's been out there last week and took some photos and drone stuff, and it just looks incredible. It was 68 years since Northern Ireland had held an Open, and a couple of years ago, Shane Lowry got it done. They're expecting record crowds at this year's Open, just based on what we saw with Lowry walking up 18 at Portrush. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago now. Have you watched that? And what are you expecting? The crowds at New Zealand looked cool, but this is going to be, on steroids from what you're used to. How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. Obviously, time will tell. But even just going out for dinners at the moment, there's already, what are we? It's only Friday, still, 6 days away from the first round, and the town's already pretty flooded. Pretty much every car park you see around is full of just camper vans and things like that. Everyone's in their Winnebagos up here, just trying to get any sort of accommodation. You walk down, the main street of Portrush, and there's a massive mural painted of Shane Lowry holding the claret jug and stuff like that. Every window's got something to do with the Open on it, and they got open burgers at your kebab shops and everything like that. Just everything's open orientated. So I think it's going to be it's obviously going to be a great fun week on the golf course, but I think it's going to be just as fun off the course as well.
Yeah, mate, absolutely lean in. The first time we spoke was just over 3 years ago, and I asked you, what is your favourite major? If you could pick a major to play, what would it be and why? And you said the Open. You're there now. What would 12-year-old Peakey be thinking, sitting in your shoes now? That'd be pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I was standing on the first tee yesterday actually, and that first tee shot's looking pretty grim, to be honest. So I reckon 12-year-old Peakey's probably got more chance of slotting that first fairway. But obviously not thinking about it as much. But I'm looking forward to the test, and I think this style of golf kind of suits me a little bit better, opposed to having to go out there for 4 rounds and just throw darts at the pin all day. I think like the mental grind and the trouble that you got to try and get yourself out of, and the creativity. I think it suits me a little bit more. But as well, I'm sure it's going to be a very tough test, and it's sort of at a level that I've never competed against before either. So I guess, like I said, it will just be time tested.
Yeah, mate. The great thing you've got in your corner is Richie Smith and the team. So for those who don't know, he coaches Min G, Lee, Hannah Green, Min Woo, and all the crew from over there in WA. Already got a major winner this year, so looking pretty good. And Elvis, he's got now as well. Elvis Smile, he's going really well at the Scottish Open so far. What's that been like working with Richie into this? So you've had a bit of time to pick his brain. I'm guessing you would have had a chat with Min Woo, who has a great European Tour record. But what work have you done in the lead up? What's different to, I guess, preparing for this season as to what you've done in the past in terms of your game?
Yeah, I haven't actually specifically done anything to lead up to the Open. Obviously, I've had some other events on the Asian Tour schedule, so my mind was kind of stuck into those events, and worry about them on a week to week basis. And then obviously finishing the last one last week in Morocco. Now I can kind of move on to the Open. I come out here and I've started to do a bit more practice around the greens. Obviously playing more chip and runs and putting with 3-wood drivers. Just kind of trying to find out what club visually looks best off the ground for me, whether it's at 50 degrees or a 9-iron or a 3-wood, and what I feel comfortable with. They're kind of the things that I'm playing around with at the moment. I'll go out, I'll have a practice round today, and then I'm actually heading back down past Belfast tomorrow. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive away. Me, Richie, Min Woo, some good guys. We're all catching up. We're all going to play Royal Country Down. Royal Country Down.
Royal County Down.
Yeah, Royal County Down. Yeah, so we're heading down there on tomorrow. We're going to play. We're going to play there. possibly stay there tonight, just kind of hang out there. And um, Richie just kind of wants to keep it pretty cruisy, and
Yeah.
have like a little bit of fun leading up to the week, and not just be stuck around here as well. And if you're up here for too long, you can become a little bit flat from his experience. So we kind of get out of Portrush and
Yeah.
just because it's a major, kind of take all the practice rounds as you would at a normal event. Don't need to do anything extra.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, probably head back up Sunday, do a bit more practice. Got a practice round with Herbie and Cam Smith on Monday. Probably play with Min on Tuesday. So, plenty of time to get practice rounds in. But, yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, I'm so excited for you. And I know the Peak entourage will be bloody excited for you. Obviously, everyone knows your backstory. If you haven't heard it, we've done it on this podcast to death. We've had Peaky on twice to chat about, and I'll put the link in the show notes to this so you can go back and have a listen. But your family and friends have stood by you for years, mate. Who's coming over? And, what's it been like for them, knowing that their boy's playing in a major championship? It's going to be pretty cool for them, I guess, too.
Yeah. They're obviously looking so forward to it. How's my English? Pretty good. Looking forward to it. So they head over. They actually leave Australia on Saturday night. Dad's originally from England. Went to Australia when he was really young.
Yeah.
So he's never been back home. So they're going to
Yeah.
stay. They're going to stay in the UK for a couple of nights and have a bit of a look around. And then they don't arrive in Portrush until Tuesday. And then, yeah, they'll come out for some practice rounds. But I've got my fiance, who's obviously staying with me. Mum and dad, they're staying in their own separate house. I've got some uncles, aunties, and cousins coming. I've got my sponsors here, their wives. There's a good 20 of us that are over here, so it's pretty cool.
Mate, it's great. It's as big for them as it is for you, I'm guessing. Mate, final thoughts. Like, have you got any expectations in terms of what you're expecting to do? First major, it's everyone we've had on who's played a major or is about to play their first major. We had a few guys on like last year, like Trav Smythe and whatnot, chatting about it. What are your expectations for yourself? I know you're a hard taskmaster, but what do you want to achieve this week?
Yeah, obviously, I just want to rock up and just sort of swing freely. I don't want to get too caught up in moments and things like that jeopardizes my swing and stuff like that. As long as I can not let that get to me and I can, get the arms away from the body, then I should have a decent crack at it. But realistically, obviously being your first major, there's obviously going to be plenty of crowds and stuff like that. They've got even like sort of different cameras that we've never seen before. They've got like those spider cameras out over the
Yeah.
golf course, over the greens and stuff like that. But obviously work real hard to make the cut. Just try and keep the ball in play, and then see how I go. If I make the cut and head into the weekend, then I guess act accordingly from whatever position I'm in. But everyone's saying obviously enjoy it and stuff like that. But as a competitor, it's I'm here to play golf. I'm here to do it as well as I can. And I think I probably would have been a little bit more nervous had I not have secured a European tour card, an Asian tour card, because I'd probably be looking at this thinking, this is the biggest thing I've got to look forward to for a long time. And essentially after this week, I'm back to playing a normal schedule on these other big tours.
Mate, that's amazing. It's a great sort of thing for you to get off monkey off the back, I guess, with your DP World Tour card next year. We're seeing Kazuma Kabori do great things, having won the Order of Merit the year before you, so he's paving the way for you to do it. Let's go one more question. So Ryan Peake, pro golfer, you've done everything you've done in your life. Who's the one player that you want to sort of go and watch at the Open this year? Because it's probably the first time you've seen these guys up close as well.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't really thought about it. I try not to. Um, I know when you see people, it's going to be kind of a different experience and things like that. But like I said, I'll kick it a bit with Min. I'll kick it with Cam and Herbie and stuff like that. I'll keep it pretty tight knitted with the guys I know, and that's good enough for me. I don't want to get too caught up in the whole fanboy situation because at the end of the day, I'm not here this week as a spectator. I'm here as a player. So.
Yeah.
It's more something that I'll be able to look back on and maybe have a beer at the pub and be like, oh, whether or not you're sitting in the locker room and, McElroy says good day to you or Scotty Scheffler or whatever it may be. But in the time being, I don't want to get too caught up in, in just glazing it at these players
Yeah.
because obviously I'm trying to head into a position in my life where I want to be seeing these guys and competing against them every week. So it all starts from here and trying to get familiar with it.
Unbelievable, mate. Bloody excited for you. Thank you for being so kind to us on the podcast. The Aussie golf landscape loves you. You've become a bit of a cult figure and a hero of a lot of players here and people here who watch it. You know, you're my most requested guest ever and our biggest downloads ever for the podcast. So we owe you a lot as well. And so thankful that you've given us some time before the biggest week of your sporting career, mate. So thanks for your time and good luck.
No problem. Anytime, Q, and I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Legend.